Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to see a new topic, that is neurohumoral transmission. So, first of all, we want to know what is neurohumoral transmission. It implies that nerves transmit their messages across the synapse and neuroaffected junction by the release of humoral. Humoral means here chemicals, chemical messengers. As we all know already, the function of nerve cells is to transmit their messages across the synapse. So here it using the chemicals to transmit their messages across the presynaptic and postsynaptic neurons. At a synapse between neurons, the neuron who is sending the signal is called presynaptic neuron, which is receiving the messages is called postsynaptic neuron. See here one is acting as a sender, another one is acting as a receiver, like message passing. This neurohumoral transmission is not a easy process to send one messages to another messages like that. It has a step, that is first one is impulse conduction, next transmitter releases, transmitter action on post-junctional membrane and post-junctional activity, followed by termination of the transmitter action. We have to terminate the action when it complete their work. Here first we need a impulse to transmit. So first process is impulse conduction. How it conduct the impulse? The resting transmembrane potential is like minus 70 millivolt, is established by high potassium permeability and intracellular concentration of this ion coupled with low sodium permeability, high in potassium permeability and low in sodium permeability. Its stimulation or arrival of an electrical impulse causes a sudden increases in the sodium conduction. It causes the depolarization and overshoot. In potassium ion then moves out in the direction of their concentration gradient and causes the repolarization. During this depolarization and repolarization, the ionic distribution is normalized at one point, that is called refractory period, by the activation of sodium potassium pump. The action potential thus activates ionic channels at the next excitable part of the membrane, and the action potential is propagated without decrement. Once the impulse is generated, next transmitter is to release. We already seen in the previous video, once the impulse is generated, the calcium is opened, that calcium channel opened, that calcium enter into the vesicles and it travels the vesicles into the membrane layer. Thereby it releases the neurotransmitters in the synaptic cleft. That is called exocytosis. We already know. And the release process can be modulated by the transmitter itself and by other agents through the activation of specific receptors located on the prejunctional membrane. Example, noradrenaline releases is inhibited by noradrenaline, dopamine, adenosine, prostaglandins. Next, once the transmitter is released, it reaches to the postjunctional membrane. So, the next process is transmitter action on the postjunctional membrane. The released transmitter combines with the specific receptors on the postjunctional membrane. It, depending on its nature, induced an excitatory or inhibitory. It is called excitatory postsynaptic potential or an inhibitory postsynaptic potential. This is excitatory and inhibitory. The both is based on the which chemical is transmitted, which impulse is generated. So for what chemical is released to the synaptic cleft and it reaches to the post junctional. When the excitatory postsynaptic potential is happen, increases in the permeability to all the cations like a sodium or calcium. It influx causes the depolarization followed by the potassium efflux. In this picture, here the acetylcholine is transmitted as the humoral messenger. Here it binds to that receptor and it produces the excitatory post-junctional potential. Next, we want to know how the inhibitory postsynaptic potential is happened. It is increased in the permeability to smaller ions like potassium and calcium, so that potassium moves out and calcium moves in, resulting in hyperpolarization. Keep in mind, in excitatory conditions, sodium, calcium like big ions. Here the inhibitory condition, potassium chloride. Here GABA is the inhibitory humoral messenger. It binds on their receptor and produces the inhibitory postjunctional potential. Next, postjunctional activity. A suprathreshold EPSP generates a propagated postjunctional action potential, which results in nerve impulse and contractions or secretions in the glands. An IPSP stabilizes the postjunctional membrane and resists the depolarizing stimuli. In this picture, n number of presynaptic junctional neurons are there. It releases their chemicals according to EPSP, IPSP happen to the postsynaptic neurons. The last process is termination of transmitter action. If it releases the n number of transmitters, only few of them binding to the postjunctional membrane, but others are floating into the synaptic cleft. That should be removed first. So the last part in this is termination of transmitter action. Removal of transmitters from the synaptic cleft is essential for normal synaptic function. Think if the neurotransmitter is present so longer in the synaptic cleft means it influences the postsynaptic neuron, muscle fibers, gland cells in indefinitely. If it is the excitatory neurons means it produces the continuous excitement. If it is inhibitory impulse means it produces complete inhibition. So the removal of neurotransmitter is definitely happened. Now we all understand termination is must process, but we don't know how it is terminated. For that reason, we have three methods. One is diffusion. First one, some of the released neurotransmitter molecules diffuses away from the synaptic cleft. Once the neurotransmitter molecules is out of reach of its receptor, it can no longer exert an effect. Second one is enzymatic degradation. Certain neurotransmitters are inactivated through the enzyme degradation. For example, the enzyme acetylcholinesterase breaks down the acetylcholine in the synaptic cleft. The final method is uptake by the cell. Cell itself, it uptakes the neurotransmitters. Many neurotransmitters are actively transported back into the neuron that released them. Where it is released, they uptake here itself. Others are transported into the neighboring neuroglia. The neurons that release the norepinephrine, for example, rapidly taken up by the norepinephrine and recycle into the new synaptic vesicles. Here, that particular membrane protein is that accomplish such uptake are called neurotransmitters transporters. Here, who uptakes the neurotransmitter is called neurotransmitter transporters, that particular protein. Today's assignment was what are all the three methods involved in the termination of neurotransmitter action. If any doubt, please comment me. Thank you.